Good morning. A necessarily cautious day yesterday for me. This one was a prime example of the problems faced in reading these matches. In-play stats started off brightly and I was going to put forward Karabag. But then Ludogorets go and score. Now do we take them on? Well, that would have proved profitable. But then they go and get the late win. So there was a possibility of a trade here. But it's really not going the way the market expects. And I do tend to over-rely on the market because they're apparently the professionals. Malmo and PAOK as well. How do we gauge the quality of both sides? We know them from the Greek and the Swedish leagues. We know them very well. We know they're good in their leagues. But how do you gauge them against each other? What are their strengths and weaknesses comparative to each other? We don't know because they're very rarely going to meet each other. Unlike at the weekend where we had all those brilliant trades because we've got teams with history in the league. Midtjylland as well against Ferencvaros. I suppose familiarity, but Ferencvaros' in-play stats suggested that they were the better side. So how do we play this? The best thing for me to do when I don't have a strong opinion is to stay out. You saw at the weekend, I did have a strong opinion and it produced green after green. Here, 2 shots on target for Ferencvaros, but the in-play stats were pretty good. So what do? Dynamo Kiev and Rangers as well. Good result for Rangers. Dynamo Kiev's odds were very short pre-match. They drifted a lot. Oh, well, I thought they were shorter than this. Sorry. Good result for Rangers. This is explained as well. They're 0-0 against Hearts at the weekend. It didn't even factor in that there would be Champions League football this early for Rangers. But you saw the problem pre-Champions League for some of these teams. They are going to stumble domestically because this is a big competition now. This is where the big Dubries are. And Rangers know they're going to be first or second anyway this season. Spartak Prague, Steaua Bucharest. How do you gauge these two? Good result for Steaua Bucharest as well. They actually scored first. Got a late equaliser. So a couple of trades if you were going with the market, but I'm just not confident. Fenerbahce, you'll note second leg. Special one is the manager of Fenerbahce. I suspect we're going to see a reaction second leg. As we did, we trusted them last time under the special one. And he produced the goods. So they must score first at home. This is what I'm talking about. Second legs, we've got a far better angle in, don't we? This, certainly, second leg catches the attention. That's for sure. Red Bull Salzburg and Twente. I thought their Salzburg's odds were far too short. Again, it's the unknown factor. How do they weigh up against FC Twente? Well, rather good. Thanks to Kiergaard. Yeah, fair enough. And in the Europa League, Maccabi Tel Aviv, comfortable enough against Panavetsis. No real trading angle there. And Petrocub just getting a single goal at 1.57. Noah Park the Arc got a 3-1 win against AEK Athens. Again, for me, unreadable. Yes, he's got a big arc, sticks it in front of goal. He's got his 600-year-old brothers playing up front. That could help them out. Stick a giraffe up front as well. One of the two that he's got in his boat. But AEK Athens just coming off the back of a final, weren't they? In Europe? Or was it getting that mixed up with Olympiacos? But you'd have expected more from Ollie. And again, this, like the Fenerbahce match, leads in nicely to the second legs. That's where we're going to make our money, I suspect. Because it's must-win territory now. And this is a completely unknown factor. Old Noah, the lad done tremendous for a 600-year-old. Covered every blade of grass. The Landspokel didn't pay any attention to that yesterday. None of the big guns really were out. So a quietish day. I make no apologies. You can't expect a trade every single day. We trade when the conditions are right for trading. First legs, it's not readable enough. Now we've got some handles in for the second legs. These sides have got a match under their belt against each other. Now we get to see their strengths and weaknesses, and where the market got it wrong. So we've got plenty to work on now for the second legs. And I suspect we're going to have the same problems today. We've got first leg football today, Champions League. Against, we know these sides very well from domestic football, but how do they weigh up against each other? Now you get an idea why Union St Gilwell actually got that 0-0 in the opening match of the season. Maybe it's the Champions League playing with their minds. Slovan Bratislava and Apoel, again, very tough to call. Jagiellonia Bialystok champions from last season. Bodo Glimt champions from Norway. We know in their leagues, very tradable sides. But how about when they play each other? Who's the better side? What's the weakness? We don't know. I have done the research for you. If you want to look at some potential angles there, by all means do. But as ever, this is just a big guess. These two sides aren't going to be meeting each other regularly. We don't have a real history at all. The weakness with the research is that, the last 13 games have seen 3 or more goals, but this is in the Czech Republic. They've been playing. They haven't been playing Union St Gilwell in a Champions League match. So you've got to really isolate the form in that regard. That's the weakness of this research that I provide for you. It's not accounting for the patterns being domestic patterns. For example, Slovan Bratislava and you got Apoel from the Cypriot League as well. They might improve. You never know. Again, familiar names in the Conference League. FC Copenhagen, we know them very well. But how are they going to weigh up against Banik Ostrava? They are priced, as they normally are, in the Danish Super League. But are they going to perform like that? Häcken against Paide, yes, that makes sense. Estonian football is not the best in the world, is it? Pax from Hungary against Monobar, is that Montenegro? So again, a slight unknown about the away side. We can't readily dismiss them as quickly as the market has. Perhaps a case here because of Estonian football. The Estonian national side, for example, very poor indeed. St Gallen we know very well. Slavs Wroclaw, extra class of season just beginning. So we know the sides, but we don't know how they're going to perform when they're meeting each other because there's no gauge to work off. There's no history. So that's the problem today. So yes, I'm on hand for you. But if there isn't a trade, I'm not going to pass one on. I'm not just going to create something for you to keep you happy. You've got to trade when the conditions are right. And that's what I did at the weekend and did it rather successfully. I can't find strong angles here. This is the Danish Cup. The young boys are everywhere. Blimey, they're in Denmark as well. So just looking through, anything else today? Probably not, but the Champions League and Europa League, Europa Conference League dominating. Hapoel Haifa, perhaps, against Ironi Tiberius. There's only one Ironi Tiberius. Japanese One League at 11 a.m. Early enough start. Kawasaki Frontale, usually my side to go to there. Produce some really good plays, but I've been out of the loop with Japan. Polish Cup, any familiar names? Lots of winning letters for Scrabble, as you can tell here. That's about the only good thing the Polish Cup can offer us.
This market is now in play.
So it's a day of cup football. The kids from Tampa Brasov are playing, so you'll be delighted to hear that. And that's it. So, again, we've got the same problem as yesterday. First legs. I have taken these previews for you, taken them through the ringer, provided you with as many angles as I can. But please remember that the vast majority of the form they're working off is domestic form. It's not the form you'd expect from a two-legged affair. It's completely different. Tactics are going to be different. So, as I say yesterday, I'll be around at 6 o'clock. I'll say hello when I'm up and ready. But if there isn't any play, there isn't any play. We might have a chance with the Conference League with 4 out of 4 odds on favourites at home. But this is very tough. We know the sides very well, particularly these two and these two. But we know them domestically. We know they're good domestically. That's why they're in this competition. But how do they fare against a fellow champion from a different country? We don't know. So we'll find out.
This market has been suspended.
The in-play stats are going to be vitally important for that. Tennis continues because we've got a Grand Slam. I think it's at the end of September, is it? Or is it at the end of August, coming into September? I always get that mixed up. So you're going to see some of the big guns out and about today. They want to get some hard court tennis in the US or Canada under their belts. So my old pal Taylor Fritz immediately stands out here. Totally reliable. Jack Duckworth from the Rovers return had a bit of Betty's hot pot. And again, I like Aussies, particularly when they're favourites. They are real battlers. Jack Draper continues along his merry way. Taro Paul against Darderi, 1.13. We'll keep an eye on that one. It's taking the back burner now, the tennis for me. It's a great stopgap for the summer. But for me, football is where I excel. Chris Eubank is still playing on hard court in Lincoln. Lots of Americans out and about. He had a busy day playing Hugh Fernley Whittingstall at 4 o'clock after beating Spitziri. So I will be out and about for you at 6 p.m. today. But as you'll learn, particularly those new to footballtradingprofits.com, if matches aren't readable, then we can't play. These are flirting with being unreadable because I don't know the weakness of these two sides. They're very good, as I say, domestically. But what's the weakness when they're meeting each other? And this, again, is a big guess from the market makers. And you've seen in this competition, they've got it wrong. You saw with Karabakh yesterday, losing 1-2 to 10 men at 1.7. The market gets these wrong because they're just guessing. You've got no form to work off. German Bundesliga 2. We had angles in at the weekend, didn't we? We started off really brightly with a few profitable trades from that competition. In stark contrast to this, that competition has history between the teams. This doesn't. So have a great day. I will see you up and about at 6 p.m. I can't promise you any trades. Okay. I can promise you more likelihood of trades once these second legs come on board. And do check at the weekend as well. Do we have a sandwich weekend? Sandwiches. What do I mean by sandwich weekend? Well, if there's Champions League second legs, indeed there is. So you've got to be extremely cautious now at the weekend with all of these named teams. Rangers, what a start to their season. They've got a sandwich weekend to work with. So who are they playing? Let's have a look. They've got to win as well, so it makes it incredibly difficult for the Scots. I don't think the SPL is up and about. There it is. They're playing Motherwell at home. Must win. They've already dropped 2 points against Celtic. Now they're involved in the Champions League, where it's a 1-1. Is the manager going to change the side? This is what I call a sandwich weekend. Already early on, could put a lot of pressure under Rangers and the manager to try to sort the side out. Enough to get the win, to stay on Celtic's coattails, and enough to be fresh for the Moneybags Champions League in 3 days' time. Sandwich weekend. There is a direct relationship between underperformance in the league and pre and post European club competition, pre and post international football, etc. So Jagiellonia might underperform this weekend. Bodo Glimt might underperform this weekend. Slavia Prague might. Unison Gilwa have to pull their finger out domestically. They've already dropped points. Copenhagen might underperform at the weekend because it's a sandwich weekend. Häcken in Sweden will be following the Allsvenskan. St. Gallen in Switzerland and Slavia Wrocław in Poland. Are they going to be affected at the weekend? It's not a huge set of teams to look out for, but we've also got this lot to think about as well. They might underperform at the weekend because the Champions League is vitally important for all of these teams, particularly these. They're smallish on the grand scale of things, but they're familiar names. I will make you aware at the weekend if they concede the first goal. Just to tread a little bit warily that there might be team changes because of the Champions League, and that will knock the dynamic out just for a match or two. Will the manager cope? Will he cope domestic and Champions League second legs? So plenty to answer at the weekend. Not making it an easy start for me at the weekend with this sandwich weekend. As you can see, Twente are playing away at NEC Nijmegen. We know they're involved in European club competition now. We know Ajax are. They're playing on the Sunday. Feyenoord, new manager. So we've got all that to look forward to as well. So to 6 o'clock for footballtradingprofits.com members. Please don't expect a trade tonight. That's all I'm saying. Tough to read, but I'll be following it if there is compelling evidence. And I dodged a bullet with Karabag. I was going to put them forward to you, but thankfully I hesitated. And I'll be doing the same today. We've got quality at the weekend. Championship, League One, League Two. You saw last weekend, familiarity does not breed contempt. Plenty of angles in. We now know that Salzburg are involved in Europe. So are they going to be affected at the weekend when strong favourites? So interesting. Sandwich weekend on its way. More first legs today. I'll be around for you at 6 o'clock, but don't expect an avalanche of plays during first legs. Yes, second legs, but not first legs. Have a great day.